It's Kyle here, and DragonCon 2022 just wrapped up. Had an awesome time, was a lot of fun, so I just kind of wanted to talk about my various experiences at the con this year. First off, I'll say I know I did a few panels this year at DragonCon, and I passed out some cards promoting my channel. So if you have found my channel because of DragonCon this year, maybe this is your first video you're watching, welcome to the channel. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed the panels I was a part of at DragonCon. I'm assuming if you came and checked out my channel, you probably did enjoy those panels. But thank you for checking out the channel, and hopefully you'll like what you see here. Before I get into the stuff that I attended, I did want to touch on the panels I was a part of. They went great. I was on 3, one on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Packed rooms for all the stuff, like all the Star Wars panels, great attendance. The other people in the panels did an awesome job. I was kind of happy with how I did. All 3 panels, we did a lot of work the weeks leading up, putting together an outline and stuff like that. I think that really helped, and I was really happy how the discussions went. The audiences seemed to enjoy it. We got a lot of great questions and stuff like that. So really pleased how the panels I was a part of went. I do want to thank all the volunteers with DragonCon, but specifically with the Star Wars track at DragonCon. They put so much work in making all these amazing panels happen over the weekend. None of this stuff would have been possible without all those volunteers, so big thank you to that. And thank you to everybody that attended, because obviously the panels aren't fun if you're just up there at a table talking and there's nobody there to listen to what you're saying. So if you did come to these Star Wars panels at DragonCon this weekend, thank you very much for supporting some great Star Wars content at DragonCon. With that being said, before I touch on the panels I attended as a fan, I also wanted to highlight, some of the awesome cosplay I saw this weekend. That's probably the thing DragonCon's best known for, all the amazing cosplay. And the thing I always enjoy is seeing stuff that I've never seen before. Obviously you'll see a lot of the superheroes, Star Wars characters, sci-fi characters, really popular, whatever is the pop culture at the moment. You always go there expecting to get stuff, and those costumes are amazing. But I'm always blown away every year by seeing some sort of costume that I never even thought of the possibility of seeing my cosplay. It never even crossed my mind. I was like, oh, that's amazing. I can't believe I got to see that. So one specifically that comes to mind is I'm a huge fan of the movie Tombstone. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. It's a Western. My favorite character in that movie is Doc Holliday. Sorry, I almost said Doc Hollywood. Doc Holliday, played by Val Kilmer. There was actually a Doc Holliday cosplay at DragonCon, and it was amazing. Loved it. There was a really cool Princess Bride cosplay with Miracle Max and his wife, which I can't remember his wife's character's name in the movie. That was an amazing cosplay. Loved that. There's always a lot of funny cosplays I enjoyed. There was a really funny Jurassic Park one with all the characters from the original movie and an inflatable dinosaur, which I thought was really cute and funny. Some amazing Star Wars stuff as always. Just the creativity at the cosplay at DragonCon just always blows me away. So I'd strongly encourage you, if you've never been to DragonCon, just go into Instagram and just search DragonCon under hashtags or something like that, and the cosplay pictures that'll come up are mind-blowing. I did post some on my Instagram, which is linked in the description box below, so check those out. But it's not all cosplay pictures, it's just other pictures of stuff that I experienced this weekend at DragonCon. Now on to the panels that I attended. I am one of those people that go to DragonCon that I primarily go for the panels. A lot of people go more to kind of party and hang out and check out a lot of cosplay. And I usually do always skip one panel every day to kind of make some laps around the Marriott and stuff and check out the cosplay. But for the most part, I'm going to panel after panel after panel because that's really what I enjoy. So I just want to touch on what I went this year. I am looking at my phone because DragonCon has an awesome app and you can build your own schedule, so I'm going to look at that so I make sure I don't forget one. I am going to skip the panels I was a part of because, I don't know, I'd rather just talk about the ones I attended versus the ones I was a part of. So the first one I attended on Friday was Zombies Beyond the Apocalypse. There was just some amazing, talented authors who wrote a lot of stuff in the zombie genre, just talking about how the zombie genre has really begun to change, and always in response to COVID, but also, The Walking Dead has been out for a while, so I think now there's a lot of authors and creators trying to take the genre in a different direction to kind of freshen it up some. But also, again, COVID, we've lived through a pandemic for a few years now, and obviously the zombie genre heavily revolves around the pandemic usually. The authors were very enlightening of how the current situation has really impacted how the zombie genre is going in the future. I really found that one a very interesting presentation. Next up, really the only panel I went this weekend that had big stars on it. I usually go to one or two like these. I usually go to more expert and fan panels. But on Friday, I went to a panel about Warehouse 13 featuring Eddie McClintock and International, were two of the stars of that show that was on Sci-Fi several years back. That's one of my favorite science fiction shows of all time, one of my favorite sci-fi original shows of all time. Love that show. I usually go to a Warehouse 13 panel every year at Dragon Con because, one, you can tell the cast that comes still really enjoy talking about the show. You'll go to some of these panels and you can tell like people like, I'm just talking about this because this is my revenue stream now of signing autographs and taking photos, but I'm kind of tired of talking about this. They don't really seem that passionate about it. The Warehouse 13 people seem to still really love talking about it, especially Eddie McClintock. He is one of the most entertaining panelists I've ever seen at Dragon Con. I always love getting to see him. So that was a awesome panel to go to, and I really I'm glad, it's only really went and saw one panel with stars on it. I'm glad it was a Warehouse 13 panel that I chose to do. After that, I went to a fan panel talking about the villains of Firefly, and it was just kind of them going over, reviewing all the villains in Firefly and talking about who were their favorites, which ones were really true villains, and which ones were maybe not as evil as you think about once you kind of examine their character a little bit more in depth. I love Firefly, so any excuse to hear people talk about Firefly I'm all in favor of. So that one was a lot of fun. Next up, I attended a panel about creating online Star Wars content. That was a very interesting panel. Obviously, I'm very much a very small-time YouTuber. I do this more as a hobby. So I was kind of curious to hear people talk about that, do online content with Star Wars as their full-time gig. You had Alex and Molly from Star Wars Explained, one of my favorite Star Wars YouTube, definitely my favorite Star Wars YouTube channel, talk about what they do. You had Brian Young, who does a lot of stuff with podcasts and writing, and then Thomas Harper, who also does some stuff with podcasts, but also a lot of Twitter content, I guess you say. He'll do a lot of stuff with that, but especially more on the podcast side. And it was very interesting to just hear their process behind it, how they came about having this as something they do a lot, what works, what doesn't. It was a very interesting presentation, and I kind of enjoyed it. It felt a little bit more like I was going to a work convention and kind of learning some tips of the trade versus one of the panels usually go into more for entertainment purposes. So it's kind of an interesting panel. I'm glad they did it. I enjoyed it a lot. And then the last panel I attended, that was the last panel I attended on Friday. The reason I forgot, I was going to attend another panel after that, but I was exhausted and I was like, I need to head back home and get some sleep. I'm one of the few people at Dragon Con. I actually don't stay down at the convention. I live about an hour north, so I actually take the subway back from Atlanta to the nearest station and drive there. So it's about an hour and a half both ways, so 3 hours round trip. So I was exhausted. I was like, I need to go home and get some sleep. So I did skip one panel on Friday I wanted to go to, but you do need some sleep every once in a while, especially when you drive. Then on Saturday morning, I went to the Dragon Con parade, which is awesome. Best parade in the world, in my opinion. It's just so much amazing nerdy content, cosplay, vehicles that are representing some of your favorite nerdy vehicles and all sorts of franchises. Some of the most amazing and creative cosplay you'll ever see. The parade's really cool because you get to see a lot of the cosplay that at the rest convention, maybe the hotels are so crowded it's hard to get a clear view at it. The parade, you really get to see all these costumes, with unobstructed views and stuff like that. So if you've never been to Dragon Con, I always recommend check out the parade at least one time because it is an experience you'll always remember it. It's amazing. I always love it when I get to go. And the weather was really nice this year. It wasn't too hot, so it was a nice parade going experience. After the parade, I went to a panel talking about Stargate Sg-1, one of my favorite sci-fi shows of all time, and it was kind of a fan panel reflecting on basically 25 years of the show, and from we're kind of anniversary point, and can we expect more Stargate content in the future? But primarily touching about like what they loved about the show, the characters, their favorite episodes, tips for how to get people into the show they've never seen before. One thing I kind of found interesting. One of the panelists had never really seen the show until COVID hit, and during the pandemic they were just looking for stuff to binge, and they binged Stargate, and now they're a diehard fan. So I love the fact that a show that's been off the air for a long time is still attracting new fans. It makes me optimistic that we'll get some more Stargate content, because I love that franchise and I really would love to see more Stargate content. Next up, I went to kind of another kind of more academic theme panel, and it was Star Wars, the Laws of War. And it's basically examining the laws of war from our reality and kind of applying them to Star Wars, and kind of examining what actions in Star Wars actually were following the laws of war and which weren't. What the Empire was doing that was technically illegal. Was the stuff that the Rebel Alliance was it following the laws of war? Were they violating those norms and committing war crimes? It was felt like going back to a college presentation. I majored in political science, so this kind of was the type of. I actually took a class called War Crimes, Atrocities, and Genocide. So this felt like, this might have been a class or a lecture I just attended as a part of my college experience. So. Found it very interesting, kind of this academic perspective examining Star Wars, so definitely love that one. And then the last panel I attended on Saturday was inside the Halcyon Star Cruiser, and this was basically some people that all went to the Halcyon Star Cruiser at Disney and had first-hand experience of vacationing there, what it was like, what they enjoyed, if they thought it was worth the money. I know personally, it sounds cool. I'm not sure if I'll ever go because of how much it cost. But I haven't really had a chance to hear me in person actually talk about their experiences. Everybody on the panel absolutely loved it. They all had different perspectives of how they went about planning it. Some did a lot of research. Other ones went in completely cold. They wanted to be completely surprised by their experience there. Now I'll say after attending that panel, it made me want to go there even more and go like, well, maybe can I figure out a way to afford it? Because they definitely made it sound very appealing, very interesting, and very entertaining. I'm still kind of doubtful if I'll ever go because of the expense, but it definitely kind of made me more curious and maybe possibly more interested in maybe figuring out a way to go in the future. So that was really cool. Then on Sunday, first panel I went to was a fan panel about the show Resident Alien, which is outside of like the Star Wars and Marvel shows that are currently going on Disney Plus and stuff. Resident Alien is probably my favorite nerdy show on TV at the moment. Alan Tudyk is in it. He's amazing. The entire cast is amazing. If you're not watching the show on Sci-Fi, check it out. It's a great sci-fi show. So funny, so interesting. Love it so much. And really, I don't know anybody in my real life who watches Resident Alien, so it was nice to get to go to a panel and hear people kind of share their thoughts and feelings on the show, and kind of hear some different perspectives on the show, different theories I hadn't thought of. And that's one thing I always like about Dragon Con. Sometimes there's stuff at Dragon Con that I don't know anybody in my real life who's into this specific thing, but at Dragon Con you can actually kind of connect with people that are into that same thing. So Resident Alien, if you're not watching it, check it out. The next panel I went to is kind of one I went to because I'm a big book nerd, and is Libraries and High Fantasy. And it was kind of a panel led by experts on libraries, actually talking about the importance of libraries in the real world, but also talking about like their favorite libraries in fantasy genre, the importance of libraries in the fantasy genre, what they enjoy about it, common traits between libraries in the fantasy genre and our real world. The one thing I was kind of surprised when I attended this panel, I was kind of expecting more of the experts who can be experts on the fantasy genre, and there was like a Tolkien expert, but most of the panel was actually composed of people who are librarians in real life, and brought kind of an interesting perspective to that panel. So the panel was different than I was expecting, but I really enjoyed it. And next up, I attended another panel kind of similar to one of the ones I attended earlier, and it's the psychology of the zombie apocalypse. This one's a little bit different because the first panel I went to was primarily writers in the zombie genre. This one did have one writer, but it also had a psychologist and an expert in public administration, so like the government side of things and how the government responds to crises and stuff like that. And again, this panel specifically examined how COVID and the zombie genre have impacted each other, how the zombie genre will change in response to COVID. Just all those kind of interrelations of those two topics. Again, it was kind of an interesting panel, somewhat similar to the first panel I attended, but from a slightly different perspective. And then the last panel I attended on Sunday is always my favorite panel to attend at Star Wars, and that's the Star Wars trivia contest. It's amazing. The most impressive display of Star Wars knowledge you'll ever see is at this panel. So if you ever go to Dragon Con and you're a Star Wars fan, highly recommend attending this panel. Congrats to Alex from Star Wars Explained. He actually won the contest this year, which is his second time he's won the contest. This panel is always mind-blowing. The amount of Star Wars knowledge is on display at it. So highly recommend a Star Wars fan go to this panel at Dragon Con. It's my favorite panel to go to every year at Dragon Con. Love it. And then Monday's kind of a slow day at the Dragon Con. It's kind of like a half a day, so I only went to 3 panels. But I always kind of like it because a lot of people are getting ready to leave or have already left, so it's a little bit more laid back. It's not quite as crowded. First panel was the music of Star Wars, and you just had some music experts just talking about the awesomeness of Star Wars music, and really from an expert kind of perspective, like musical composition and stuff like that. And I'm by no means a musical expert, so I really enjoyed hearing experts talk about why Star Wars film scores are so amazing. It was really cool. Then kind of the music genre, I kept up going with the Battle of the Fictional Bands. This one goes to 11. And this was a very cool fan panel on the sci-fi track, where basically the audience got to suggest some of their favorite fictional bands from any genre, really. It doesn't necessarily be sci-fi. And a bracket was created, and then the panel kind of talks about each band, and then the audience votes on which one they want to advance. And at the end, a champion is crowned for that this year's tournament. And this year's winner was actually the band from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, so that was kind of cool to see. That was a very funny panel, a lot of funny discussions about the various bands and their musical qualities and stuff like that. And then the last panel I attended was Star Wars Speculation, as that title kind of hints at. It's basically just some people talking about what they expect to see in Star Wars. And so they talk about a lot of the shows coming up, like Andor, for example, new books coming out, new video games, and just what we can expect, fan theory, stuff like that. It's kind of a cool way to kind of look forward to all the new Star Wars content that's getting ready to come out. So that was my Dragon Con 22 experience. Had a blast, loved it. Only downside this year, it was very rainy on Sunday, so that put a little bit of a damper on it, and obviously we were still doing some COVID stuff. So hopefully next year the con will get back to as normal as possible, kind of a pre-COVID con. I would love that. But overall, I had an awesome time at Dragon Con. Always one of my favorite things, if not my favorite thing to do every year. Already excited for Dragon Con 2023. If you don't know, you can go ahead and buy your passes for Dragon Con once this year's con's over. So if you've never went before, go ahead and buy your pass. So that way it forces you to put it on your calendar and you'll go. Because otherwise it's so easy to procrastinate. By the time it gets around, like, oh, I already have stuff going on, I'm just not going. Buy your pass and go. Dragon Con is such an amazing experience, you will not regret it. In the comment section below, let me know, did you attend Dragon Con this year and what was your experience? If you've not attended Dragon Con but you have another favorite con that you like going to, let me know in the comment section below. If you like this video, please hit that like button. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to that channel. Hope you enjoyed this video. Hope, if you haven't yet, you'll check out Dragon Con at some point because it is amazing. I'll see you the next time. May the Force be with you, and maybe I'll see you at Dragon Con in 2023.